Thank you, Nicole. Finley's win over Whitmer on Friday, big for multiple reasons. As we welcome in Rhett Boyd. You see him every Friday night with Game Day Nation Overtime, as well as high school basketball analysts. And Rhett, with that victory Friday, not only did the Trojans put themselves in the driver's seat for the Buckeye Division, they wrapped up the #1 seed for the Northwest District in Division I.
Yeah, they did. They've had an outstanding year, and anytime you beat a team like Whitmer twice by double figures in the regular season, you deserve that #1 seed. So got a big win there on Friday, and it set them up for their tournament draw that happened here this afternoon.
Now, as we talked about last week, a lot of what happens on these draws is avoiding teams, avoiding a matchup you don't particularly like. So as you take a look at the Division I Northwest District draw, we'll take a look first at the Lake District. This is where everybody was avoiding Finley. Whitmer, the 2 seed. They'll get the winner of Springfield and Bowsher.
Yeah, they do. And I think Whitmer, even though they were the 2 seed, I think they got the best draw in terms of trying to get to the regional than maybe Finley did. Because St. John's, who I feel is a top 3 team, even though their seed was 6, I think St. John's is the top 3 team. They went into Finley's side. So I think Whitmer, they have the best path to try to get to a regional. It's not going to be easy, though. You see Perrysburg there. You see Sandusky. Now, Whitmer has played them earlier in this year. They knocked off Perrysburg twice. They beat Sandusky by double figures. So, but when you look at that, Sandusky and Perrysburg, though, they chose to go on Whitmer's side. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I think for Whitmer, I think it stacks up pretty well for them on paper.
Speaking of choices, Clay chose to play Perrysburg, a very interesting first-round matchup. If the Yellow Jackets get past Clay, that sets things up down the road. But the Eagles and Jackets, that first-round matchup is going to be very interesting. They're going to see each other in just a few days. Yeah,
exactly. So I think for Clay, I think the reasoning would be is they just feel stylistically that that's a better matchup for them than playing Finley, Whitmer, or a potential Sandusky. So they go there. They're going to see each other in a couple days, get some familiarity. The game plan will be fresh, just a few tweaks, once you get into the tournament 10 days later. So we'll see how it all plays out.
So those games will begin on Tuesday the 27th. Looking at the other Northwest Division I district, this is where Finley, the #1 seed, they will get Waite, the lowest seed. You have St. Francis will get the winner of Northview and Start, St. John's, as you mentioned, and Southview, Norwalk, the other matchup.
Yeah, and I really like even in the top of that bracket, Northview versus Start. They played earlier this year. It was a 2-point ball game, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out of that to play St. Francis. Don't sleep on St. Francis. They played in the Catholic League. They played those teams competitively. Have come up short. They're a lot better than their record indicates. So whoever comes out of Northview Start, be careful because the Knights can sneak up and get you. Again, Finley, I think Finley gets through. And again, St. John's. I am high on St. John's. You got Murphy, you got Kowalczyk. I think the role players do an outstanding job of fulfilling those roles, and it is a very cohesive group. I think they play Southview. I think St. John's moves on. That sets up a dandy between Finley and a potential St. John's matchup.
And that feeds into the Central District. Let's move on to Division II, the Lake District. In this one, Wauseon, the #1 seed. Now, they lost to Anthony Wayne on Saturday. The RPI closed Friday at midnight, so games on Saturday do not affect what happens in this bracket. So Wauseon is the #1 seed, Scott's your 2 seed, Bowling Green the 3 seed, Rogers the 4 seed.
Yeah, I think this really sets up well for Central Catholic. Again, a team whose record is not indicative of how good that they are. They're a young team at the start of the season. They've got baptism by fire throughout the year, playing the teams in this area and in the Catholic League. They have a chance to play Wauseon. You said Wauseon lost to Anthony Wayne. They also lost to Southview earlier this year as well. So they have not fared well against teams in this area. And then you look at the top, I think you're looking at potential Rogers versus Scott matchup. Bulldogs, I think they get through, play a potential Central Catholic, and I think that would be an outstanding district final.
Yeah, Wauseon leading the NWOAL. They've had some great postseason success in years past under Coach Burt. Now, one other local team in Division II, but in the different district, is Napoleon. They will be home on Tuesday the 27th. They'll open up their postseason taking on Bath. Winner of that game moves on to Fostoria. Elida, the #1 seed in that so-called Western Buckeye League district. Let's move on to Division III now. And in the Napoleon district, Emmanuel Christian, the #1 seed, they'll get the winner of Ottawa Hills in Hicksville. Archbold, the 2 seed in this bracket.
Yeah, and I think this sets up, I think your top 2 seeds will get through, Emmanuel Christian versus Archbold. We talked about it. Napoleon just knocked off Archbold last night, so we'll see how that does that make a difference in terms of maybe is that record inflated a little bit? They played Emmanuel Christian, Nate Miles, Jalen Brown as well. Good, excellent 1-2 punch. So I think if those two could match up, Emmanuel Christian, Archibald, that would be a great matchup. We'll see how it all plays out.
Couple other TAC schools in Division III, but in the Northwest 1 district. You've got Northwood. They will take on Bucyrus. That game will be a home game for the Rangers. Cardinal Stritch, they will head to Collins to take on Western Reserve. Finally, in Division IV, no surprise here. Toledo Christian, number 2 in the state. The Eagles, the number 1 seed in this district. This will be going to the Defiance District Tournament, and the Eagles will get Eden to open up the postseason on Wednesday, February 28th.
Yeah, I like this Toledo Christian team. We've talked about it every week on Game Day Nation. They have a plethora of guys who can carry them on any given night. I think they get all the way through. I think on the bottom, wouldn't that be outstanding to see Maumee Valley, Toledo Christian? Again, it would be round 3 if that does materialize. But you got to be careful of Antwerp. They've had an outstanding season, and they're 17-2 at this point. So that would be a tough test for Maumee Valley. But man, round 3 between those two teams, Maumee Valley, Toledo Christian, we're all for it.
Yeah, we know the small schools in far western Ohio, they can play some serious basketball out near that Indiana border. So I'll be looking forward to those games. Now, Rhett, we've got the brackets finished, but the regular season, still a few more games to be played. And while we've got the Buckeye Division, Findlay in control, and South in control, the Cardinal Division, the NLL, the TAC is still very much up for grabs with Toledo Christian and Emmanuel Christian tied for first place. That last game of the regular season, they'll play to decide the title if they remain on that collision course.
Absolutely. But I think even if you look at the next 5 days, coming up this Friday, we got some meaningful matchups. You got Maumee Valley trying to play spoiler. They play Emmanuel Christian this Friday. And you also got Perrysburg and Clay. We just looked at the brackets. Those two teams are going to match up in round 1 of the tournament. They get to see each other here late in the season, gain some familiarity, learn some tendencies, and therefore they can make some tweaks before they hit that first round matchup.
And on Tuesday, City League boys semifinals, Start, Rogers, Lima Senior Scott are the matchups with the championship game on Thursday.